Hi everyone, I just wanted to share with you today a way to understand the gospel using cups. So for today, let's pretend that this blue cup is God the Father. And then let's pretend the red cup is Jesus the Son. The brown cup is going to be me and you and everybody else. And then the green cup, the Holy Spirit. So just for a moment, let's take you and me out of the picture. Now Jesus says that I and my Father are one. So they're one and the same. I and my Father are one. Now Jesus came to earth and he walked upon the earth and he loved on people, cared for people, had great compassion for people. He healed people and he did miracle after miracle after miracle. Jesus did everything that God wanted him to do exactly the way God wanted him to do it. And the green is the Holy Spirit. That's God's presence on earth in believers working in and through them. So now let's bring you and me back into the picture. So now before someone asks Jesus into their life, they're living their life for themselves. They're making all their decisions on their own. They're not using God to help them with anything. And they realize at some point that something is off. I mean, deep down they know something is just not quite right. Can't put their finger on it, but they realize something is not quite right. So they come to God, but it just doesn't work. It just does not work. And so then they step back for a moment and they think, okay, I'm going to do better. I'm going to really strive hard to be the best person that I can be. I'm going to be good and do really good deeds, and then God's going to love me more. And it comes back and it just does not work. And the reason why it does not work is that word sin. Now, sin is anything that you or I could do that would displease God. It just makes him unhappy. It's basically when we choose our way instead of his way. And because of that sin, that separates us from God. But I got some really good news for you, because God has solved that sin issue, and he did it through his son Jesus. Now remember, I told you earlier that Jesus did everything that God wanted him to do exactly the way God wanted him to do it. And that included Jesus being willing to die on the cross to take on all the sins of the world. That means all the sins from people in the past, all the sins of people today, and all the sins of people in the future. So all the sins for all people for all time, that is what Jesus did when he died on the cross for all of us. So now if you come to Jesus and you say to Jesus, oh, I admit, God, that I've messed up. I admit, Jesus, I have done wrong things. You know, Jesus is really faithful and he's fair and he forgives. If you also tell Jesus, if you believe in him with all of your heart, that you believe that he died on the cross, he rose again 3 days later, and you trust him fully, and then you commit to live for him, Jesus will forgive you. So now when God looks at you, he sees Jesus. Isn't that great? And even better, we're part of God's family now. We're all one. I just love that. But you know, that's not where it ends, because God knows we're going to need some help because we're not perfect, remember? So that's where the Holy Spirit comes in. So now remember, he is the helper that God sends to the earth to help believers in Jesus. So when you believe in Jesus, the Holy Spirit comes to live within you. So I've got a verse I want to read for you from John. It's chapter 14, verse 20. And Jesus is speaking here, and he says, on that day, you will realize that I am in my Father. You will know that you are in me, and that I am in you. That is so amazing. Let's see that again. Jesus again is speaking, and he says, on that day, you will know that I am in my Father. You are in me, and I am in you. Perfect place to be. So that's my question for you. Where are you? The best place that anybody can be is right here. Right here, surrounded by God. Being loved by God and having a relationship with God. So it's not about how can we be perfect? Can we just be the best that we can be? Because no, we can't on our own. It is about the relationship that you have with Jesus. Do you trust him with your whole heart to help you? When you do that, then you're part of God's family, which is a wonderful place to be. If you have any questions about that, please go ask Mom and Dad. You know, your moms and dads, They're very smart, and they can answer questions that you have. So make sure you go talk to them if you have questions about being part of God's family. I know they would love to help you. I want you to know that I love you very much, miss all of you, and I hope that you have a happy and blessed Easter.